The stars above the Ashari homeworld looked the same as they always had. But Elder Vixana knew that everything had changed. She stood in the medical center and watched through the glass wall. Inside the sealed room, 12 more Ashari lay dying. Their silver skin had turned dark gray. Their large eyes could barely open. The machines around them beeped and flashed, but nothing helped anymore. Vixana had been a scientist for 200 years. She had solved problems that seemed impossible. She had created medicines that saved millions, but now she felt completely helpless. The consumption was killing her people and she could do nothing to stop it. How many today? She asked the medical assistant beside her. 40,000 across all 7 worlds, the assistant replied quietly. That brings the total to 43 million dead. 43 million. The number was so large that Vixana could barely understand it. Just 1 year ago, the Ashari population had been 55 million strong. Now only 12 million remained alive, and that number dropped every single day. The consumption had appeared without warning. One day people started getting sick. At first it seemed like a normal illness. Fever, weakness, trouble breathing. But then it got worse. Much worse. The sick ones' organs began to fail. Their bodies could not fight back. Within a week they died. The Ashari scientists worked day and night. They created medicines. They built better machines. They tried everything they knew, but the consumption was different from any disease they had seen before. It changed. Every time they found a way to fight it, the disease adapted. It learned. It became stronger. It's like the virus is thinking, Vixana had told the Council of Elders 3 months ago. It studies our medicine and finds ways around it. The Council had given her unlimited resources. They told her to find a cure at any cost. But resources did not matter if the answer did not exist. Across the star system, the other 6 Ashari colony worlds faced the same nightmare. Vixana received reports every hour. The news was always bad. Cities that once held millions now stood nearly empty. Hospitals overflowed with dying patients. The streets were quiet. Everyone stayed inside, hoping the consumption would not find them. But it always did. Commander Tolmir entered the medical center. His military uniform was perfect, but his face showed his exhaustion. He had not slept properly in weeks. None of them had. Elder Vixana, he said with respect, the council wants your report. Vixana looked back at the dying Ashari in the sealed room. Tell them the truth. We have failed. The consumption will kill us all within 6 weeks, maybe sooner. Tolomir's expression did not change. He was a soldier. He had learned to hide his emotions. But Vixana could see the pain in his eyes. What about the distress signals? She asked. Have any other species responded? Yes, Tolomir said. The Vorlak sent a message. They said they are sorry for our loss. The Krennic Empire sent scientists to study the consumption, but they left after 2 days. They said the risk was too great. And the others? The Zenthi Union has blockaded our space. They will not let anyone in or out. They fear the consumption will spread to their worlds. Tolomir paused. We are alone, Elder. Vixana had expected this, but hearing the words still hurt. The Ashari had been part of the galactic community for thousands of years. They had shared knowledge. They had helped other species during hard times. But now when they needed help, everyone had abandoned them. What about our own evacuation plans? Vixana asked. Cancelled. Where would we go? No one will accept Ashari refugees. They fear we carry the consumption. Tolmir's voice was bitter. We built this civilization over 10,000 years. Now we will watch it die in less than 1 year. In another part of the medical center, a young scholar named Lieth worked at a computer. He had been searching the Ashari database for days. Ancient records, old medical texts, anything that might help. His eyes hurt from staring at the screen, but he refused to stop. Lieth was only 30 years old, young for an Ashari. Most of his friends had already died from the consumption. His family was gone too. He had nothing left except this search. If he stopped working, he would have to think about all he had lost. So he kept working. Lieth, Vixana called to him. Go home, rest, there is nothing more we can do. No, Lyceth said without looking up. There must be something. Some answer we missed. We have tried everything. Then we have not tried hard enough. Lieth finally turned to face her. His eyes were red from crying and lack of sleep. I will not accept that we are just going to die. I refuse. Vixana felt a small spark of something she had not felt in weeks. Hope? No, not quite. But perhaps determination. This young scholar would not give up. Maybe she should not either. What are you searching for? She asked. Old records. From before we had modern medicine. I thought maybe our ancestors faced something like the consumption. Maybe they found a way to survive. It was a desperate idea. Ancient Ashari had lived in caves. They had no technology, but Vixana understood. Phagath needed to try even if it was pointless. Let me help you, she said. They searched together for hours. The medical center grew quiet as the day ended. Outside the sunset on the Ashari homeworld. It would rise again tomorrow. But how many fewer Ashari would see it? Commander Ptolemy returned near midnight. Elder Vixana, we are sending out one final distress signal. We will broadcast it on all known frequencies to every corner of known space. Will anyone hear it? Vixana asked. Perhaps. Perhaps not. But we must try. The message went out into space. It traveled at light speed, spreading across the galaxy. On 7 dying worlds, the Ashari waited. They did not expect an answer. They had already accepted their fate. In the medical center, the machines around the dying patients kept beeping. Elder Vixana kept working. Commander Ptolemy kept his soldiers ready, though ready for what he did not know. Young Leith kept searching through ancient files. The Ashari had built a beautiful civilization. They had created art and music and science. They had explored dozens of star systems. They had made friends across the galaxy. But none of that mattered now. The consumption did not care about civilization or art or friendship. It only knew how to kill. As the night grew darker, Vixana walked to a window. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, other species lived and thrived. They were safe from the consumption. They would survive long after the Ashari were gone. I hope someone remembers us, Vixana whispered to the empty room. I hope we are not forgotten. She did not know that far away on a small blue planet called Earth, someone had just received their distress signal. She did not know that help was coming. She did not know that humans refused to let anyone die alone. All she knew was the darkness and the dying, and the terrible certainty that time had run out. Captain Tae-sung stood on the bridge of the ESS horizon, staring at the message on his screen. The distress signal had traveled for 3 weeks before reaching human space. He had read it 7 times already, but the words still hit him hard each time. This is the Ashari Council of Elders. Our species is dying. 43 million dead. 12 million remain. We have weeks, perhaps days. If anyone receives this message, please remember that we existed. Please remember that we tried. Tae-sung was 45 years old. He had served in Earth's Unified Space Command for 20 years. He had seen many things in space. Strange planets, beautiful nebulas, ancient ruins. But he had never received a message like this. An entire species begging to be remembered because they knew they would soon be gone. Sir, Earth Command is on the line, said his communications officer. Young Mi Tae-sung pressed the button. The face of Admiral Kwan appeared on the screen. Captain, you have read the Ashari distress signal, the Admiral said. It was not a question, yes, sir. Have we sent a response? That is why I am calling. Earth Command is divided on this issue. The Ashari are 2 months away at maximum speed. Our intelligence says the consumption is highly infectious and adaptive. Several other species refuse to help because of the danger. What danger could be worse than letting millions die? Tae-sung asked. The danger of bringing a deadly plague back to Earth, Admiral Kwan replied. Captain, I am not calling to give you orders. I am calling to ask your opinion. Your fleet is the closest to Ashari space. If we send help, it will be you and your crew who go. Tae-sung looked around his bridge. His crew had heard the conversation. They were all watching him, waiting. May I speak with my people, sir? You have 1 hour. The screen went dark. Tae-sung stood and faced his crew. You heard the Admiral. We can vote on this. No one will force you to go. This mission could kill us all. Permission to speak, Captain, said Lieutenant Rin Na, his security chief and best pilot. She was young, only 28, but fearless. Granted. Sir, my grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days on Earth, about the plagues that killed millions. She said the worst thing was not the sickness. It was watching people die alone. No one helping, everyone too scared. Rin Na's voice was steady. I did not join the Space Command to play it safe. I joined to help people, even if they are not human. I agree, said Engineer Jen Wu. He was 50 years old, built like a bear, with strong hands scarred from years of repair work. We got this message for a reason. Maybe we are the only ones who can help. Or maybe we are just the only ones willing to try. Either way, I vote we go. One by one, the crew spoke. The communications officer, the weapons specialist, the navigation team. All of them. Every single person voted to go. Tae-sung felt pride swell in his chest. This was why he loved his species. Humans were not the strongest in the galaxy. They were not the smartest. They had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. Most alien species still thought of Earth as the new kids, but humans had something special. They cared, even about strangers. Communications Officer Young Mi sent a message to Admiral Kwan. The Horizon and her crew volunteer for this mission. We leave immediately. 12 hours later, 3 more ships joined them. The medical vessel Hope, carrying Dr. Hana Yoon and her entire medical team. The supply ship Providence loaded with equipment and medicine, and the patrol ship Guardian, with extra security forces. Dr. Hana Yoon contacted Tae-sung as soon as they left Earth orbit. Her face appeared on his screen. She was 40 years old with sharp eyes and graying hair tied back in a simple style. Captain, I am bringing everything we have. Antibiotics, antivirals, medical scanners, sample analyzers. I have been reading about the Ashari. Their biology is very different from ours, but I think we can help. The other species said they could not help. Tae-sung reminded her. The other species gave up. Humans do not give up. Hana Yoon smiled. It was a tired smile, but real. Captain, Earth has survived dozens of terrible plagues. The Black Death, smallpox, the fever wars of 2087, we know how to fight diseases. We are very good at surviving things that should kill us. Let us hope that skill works for the Ashari too. The journey to Ashari space took 53 days. During that time, Hana Yoon and her team studied everything they could find about the Ashari. Their biology, their medicine, their history. Scientist Hyun Lee, a young virologist who specialized in unusual diseases, worked with her constantly. The consumption adapts to whatever the Ashari use against it, Hyun Lee explained during a meeting. He was 32, thin and intense, always moving. It is like the virus is smart. It learns. All viruses adapt, Hana Yoon said, but this one is adapting too fast. I think it was engineered. Engineered? As in someone made it? Tae-sung asked. Maybe. Or maybe it was a biological weapon from an ancient war. Something that got loose. I will know more when we see it in person. Engineer Jin Woo spent the journey preparing. He knew human equipment would not work with Ashari technology. They use different power systems, different computer languages, different everything. So he built adapters, converters, translation programs, anything that might help. Lieutenant Rin Na trained her security teams. They needed to be ready for anything. Hostile ships, quarantine failures, panic. She ran drills every day, pushing her people hard. Sir, the crew is tired, Rin Na's second-in-command, Dae-ho, said after one particularly tough drill. The crew will be more tired if we arrive unprepared, Rin Na replied. Again, run the drill again. Finally, they reached Ashari space. The moment they crossed the border, every ship alarm went off. 3 Zenthi Union warships appeared on their scanners. Attention, human vessels, a harsh voice said over the radio. You are entering quarantine space. Turn back immediately or be destroyed. Tae-sung kept his voice calm. This is Captain Tae-sung of the ESS Horizon. We received a distress signal. We are here to help. The Ashari are infected. They cannot be helped. Leave now. No, there was a long silence. Then the Zenthi commander spoke again. His voice was different now, confused. You understand the danger? The consumption could kill you all. We understand. We are going anyway. Another pause. You humans are either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both. The Zenthi Union will not stop you, but we will not help you either. If you become infected, you will not be allowed to leave Ashari space. You will die there with them. We understand, Tae-sung said. Thank you for the warning. The Zenthi ships moved aside. The human fleet continued forward. 2 days later, they arrived at the Ashari homeworld. Commander Tolmir's voice came over the radio immediately. He sounded shocked. Human vessels, this is Commander Tolmir of the Ashari Defense Fleet. We received your message. We cannot believe you came. Why would you risk your lives for us? Because you asked for help, Tae-sung replied simply. There was a long silence. Then Tolmir spoke again. His voice was shaking. Captain Tae-sung, you should know that we are not worth saving. We are a dying species. Anything you do will likely fail. You will die for nothing. Let us worry about that. Where can we dock? Ptolemy directed them to a quarantine station orbiting the planet. As they approached, Taesung looked down at the HFY homeworld. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked peaceful, but he knew that down there millions were dying. And more would die before this was over. Dr. Hana Yoon assembled her team in the docking bay. Listen carefully. We are dealing with something highly dangerous. Follow every protocol. No shortcuts, no risks. We cannot help the HFY if we die in the first week. Yes, ma'am. Her team replied together. Elder Vixana met them at the airlock. She looked old and exhausted. When she saw the humans, she stopped walking. She just stared at them. You came, she whispered. You actually came. We received your message, Hana Yoon said gently. Show us you're sick. Show us your research. We will find a way to help. Vixana led them through the station. Everywhere the humans saw dying HFY. The medical bays overflowed. The hallways were quiet. Everyone moved slowly like ghosts. This is worse than the report said, Hyun-Lee muttered. We sent those reports 3 weeks ago, Vixana said. Many more have died since then. They reached the research laboratory. Vixana showed them everything. All the tests they had run, all the medicines they had tried. All the failures. Hana Yoon studied the data carefully. Then she looked at Vixana. You have done good work, but you have been fighting this disease with logic and technology alone. How else would we fight it? With stubbornness, Hana Yoon smiled. With anger, with refusal to accept defeat. That is how humans fight. We do not die quietly. We do not give up. And we will not let you give up either. Dr. Hana Yoon had not slept in 36 hours. She sat in the laboratory surrounded by screens showing data about the consumption. Her eyes burned with fatigue, but her mind was sharp. She was close to something. She could feel it. Scientist Hyun-Lee burst into the room carrying a data pad. His hair stood up in all directions and his hands shook with excitement. Dr. Yoon, look at this. I compared the consumption to every Earth virus in our database. Look at the pattern. Hana Yoon took the pad and studied the screen. Her eyes went wide. This is impossible, I know. But the data does not lie. The consumption was not a natural virus. It had been engineered, designed, built by someone with advanced knowledge of HFY biology. The virus attacked specific genetic markers that only the HFY possessed. It was a weapon. A very old weapon. How old? Hana Yoon asked. Based on the degradation patterns, at least 10,000 years. Maybe older. Hyun-Lee sat down heavily. Someone made this to kill the HFY. Then it got loose. Or maybe it was released by accident. But it has been evolving for thousands of years, becoming more and more perfect at its job. 10,000 years, Hana Yoon repeated. The HFY have been fighting this for 6 months. But this thing has been preparing for 10,000 years. No wonder they could not stop it. Elder Vixana entered the laboratory. She had overheard their conversation. So we were doomed from the start. This virus was made to kill us. It has had thousands of years to perfect itself. Yes, Hana Yoon said. Then she smiled. But it has never met humans before. I do not understand. The consumption was designed to fight HFY biology, your immune systems, your medicine, your technology. It knows everything about you. It has adapted to everything you can throw at it. Hana Yoon stood up and pointed at the screen, but it knows nothing about humans. We are a complete unknown. Our biology is totally different. We evolved on a harsh planet with thousands of diseases. We have immune systems that have been fighting for survival for millions of years. Vixana looked at the data. You think human biology might resist the consumption? I think we need to test that right now. Engineer Jin Woo had been working in the medical bay for 2 days straight. He was trying to connect human medical equipment to the HFY power systems. It should have been impossible. The technologies were completely incompatible, but Jin Woo was very good at making impossible things work. Hand me the plasma torch, he said to his assistant. Orashi was 25, fresh out of training, but she learned fast. Sir, this is the 14th modification. Maybe we should try a different approach. No, this will work. It has to work. Jin Woo wiped sweat from his forehead. We need these scanners running. Dr. Yoon cannot test her theories without proper equipment. He made one final adjustment. Then he pressed the power button. The human scanner flickered. Then it glowed steady green. It works. Bora shouted. Jinwoo allowed himself a small smile. 1 down. 47 more to go. In the medical wing, Lieutenant Rin Na was dealing with a different problem. Commander Ptolemy had assigned Ashari guards to watch the humans. They were polite but clearly nervous. They stood far away from the humans, wearing full protective suits. Rin Na approached one of the guards. "Is there a problem?" The Ashari guard shifted uncomfortably. "No, ma'am. We are simply being cautious. The consumption spreads easily. We do not want you to get infected. We appreciate your concern, but we are here to help. We cannot do that if everyone is afraid to come near us. With respect, ma'am, you do not understand. Everyone who has gotten close to infected Ashari has died. It is not fear. It is fact." Rinna understood. These people had watched millions die. They had learned to fear the consumption. That fear was keeping them alive, or at least keeping them alive a little longer. "Let me show you something," Rinna said. She walked to the medical bay where human volunteers were being tested. She pointed through the window. "See those 5 humans? They are in a room with Ashari patients. No protective suits. No barriers. They have been there for 12 hours. The Ashari guard's eyes went wide. They will die. Watch." 4 hours later, Dr. Hana Yoon called everyone to the laboratory. Captain Taesung arrived with his senior staff. Elder Vixana came with Commander Ptolemy and young scholar Lieth. The room filled with both humans and Ashari. "I have news," Hana Yoon announced. "We exposed 5 human volunteers to the consumption. They spent 12 hours in direct contact with infected Ashari patients. No protection." Vixana covered her mouth in horror. "They are dead?" "No, they are perfectly healthy. The consumption cannot infect humans." Hana Yoon brought up a screen showing microscope images. "Look. When the consumption virus enters a human bloodstream, our immune system immediately attacks it. The virus tries to adapt, but it cannot. Our biology is too different. It is like trying to use a key made for one door on a completely different door. It just does not fit." The room erupted in noise, everyone talking at once. Some Ashari were crying. Others looked stunned. "This is wonderful news," Vixana said. "But how does it help us? Your immunity does not save my people." "Not directly," scientist Hyun Lee said, stepping forward. "But Dr. Yoon and I have an idea. A crazy idea, but it might work." "Tell us," Commander Tolmir said. "We want to use human antibodies as a template. We will take human blood, extract the antibodies that fight the consumption, and modify them to work with Ashari biology. Then we create a hybrid vaccine. Part human, part Ashari. The virus will not know how to fight it because it has never seen human immune responses before." The room went silent. Then Lieth spoke up. "That is brilliant. The virus has adapted to every Ashari defense, but it has no experience with human defenses. It will be vulnerable. In theory," Hana Yoon said carefully, "we will not know until we try, and we need to move fast. The consumption is still killing thousands every day." "What do you need?" Vixana asked. "Blood, lots of human blood. We need plasma donations from every human in the fleet." Captain Taesung did not hesitate. "You will have it. I will make the announcement immediately." Within 2 hours, every human on every ship was lined up to give blood. They gave one unit, rested for 20 minutes, then gave another. Engineer Jin Woo built special collection and processing equipment. Lieutenant Rin Na organized the whole operation with military efficiency. "Sir, you have already given 3 units," Rin Na said to Captain Taesung. "You should rest." "I will rest when we save the Ashari," Taesung replied. "1 more unit. Sir, you will pass out, then catch me." He smiled. "We are all giving everything we have, Lieutenant. I will not ask my crew to do something I am not willing to do myself." In the laboratory, Hana Yoon and Hyun Lee worked at a desperate pace. They had human antibodies. They had Ashari genetic samples. Now they needed to combine them in a way that would work. "The problem is compatibility," Hyun Lee said, staring at test results. "Human antibodies work for humans. Ashari antibodies work for Ashari. But mixing them creates rejection. The Ashari body will attack the human antibodies as foreign invaders. So we need to disguise the human antibodies," Hana Yoon said. "We need to make them look Ashari on the outside but work like human antibodies on the inside." "How?" "Genetic modification. We take the human antibody and coat it with Ashari proteins. Like putting on a costume. They worked through the night, test after test, failure after failure. Elder Vixana and Lieth helped. providing expertise about Ashari biology. Engineer Jin Woo kept the equipment running. Captain Tae-sung brought food and made sure everyone took short breaks. Finally, after 60 hours of continuous work, they had it. A vaccine that looked Ashari but fought like human. "We need to test it," Vixana said. "Test it on me," Lieth said immediately. "No," Vixana protested. "We do not know if it is safe. We do not have time to be careful. Test it on me. If it works, we can save my people. If it fails, I was going to die from the consumption anyway." Lieth rolled up his sleeve. "Please." Hana Yoon looked at Captain Tae-sung. He nodded. She prepared the injection. "This might hurt," she warned. "I do not care," Lieth said. The needle went in. The vaccine flowed into Lieth's bloodstream. Everyone held their breath. "How do you feel?" Hyunli asked. "I feel fine. Maybe a little warm. But fine." They waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 30 minutes. Lieth remained healthy, strong, normal. "Now we infect him," Vixana said quietly. "We must know if the vaccine actually works." This was the terrible part. They had to deliberately infect Lieth with the consumption. If the vaccine failed, he would die within days. "Do it," Lieth said. They exposed him to the virus. Then they waited. It was the longest night of everyone's lives. They took blood samples every hour. They watched Lieth carefully for any signs of infection. The consumption entered Lieth's body. Under the microscope, they could see it trying to attach to his cells. But the human hybrid antibodies attacked immediately. The virus tried to adapt. It tried to learn, but it could not. The human antibodies were too foreign, too strange, too different. "It is working," Hyunli whispered. "It is actually working." By morning, Lieth was still healthy. The consumption was gone from his blood. Dead, destroyed, defeated. Elder Vixana sat down and wept. Not from sadness, from hope. For the first time in 6 months, she had real hope. Engineer Jin Woo had lied. Building the vaccine production facility was not easy. It was the hardest thing he had ever done. He stood in the center of a massive cargo bay that had been emptied for the construction. Around him, 20 human engineers and 30 Ashari technicians worked at a frantic pace. They were building equipment that had never existed before, combining human manufacturing technology with Ashari biological systems, making it all work together. "Boss, the cooling system is not compatible," his assistant Bo-Ra called out. "The Ashari refrigeration units use a different temperature scale. If we get it wrong, the vaccine will spoil." "Then we do not get it wrong," Jin Woo replied. He was covered in grease and sweat. His hands were cut and bruised from the work. "Run triple checks on every connection. I do not care how long it takes." Commander Tolmir watched from the observation deck. Next to him, Captain Tae-sung stood quietly. "Your engineer is either a genius or insane," Tolmir said. "Both," Tae-sung replied. "Jin Woo has been both for as long as I have known him. But he always gets the job done. I hope you are right, Captain. We have less than 3 weeks before the consumption kills the last of my people. If this production facility fails, if we cannot make enough vaccine in time, millions more will die." Jin Woo knows the stakes. Everyone knows the stakes. Below them, Jin Woo was welding 2 pieces of equipment together. Sparks flew everywhere. The work was dangerous, but there was no time to be careful. Every hour they delayed meant more Ashari deaths. In the medical wing, Dr. Hana Yoon faced a new problem. The vaccine worked. They knew it worked, but they only had enough for 5,000 doses. The Ashari needed millions. "We are producing more as fast as we can," she told Elder Vixana, "but we have a decision to make. Who gets vaccinated first?" Vixana looked pained. "How can we choose? How do we decide who lives and who dies?" "We start with the young," Hana Yoon said firmly. "Children first. Then the scientists and doctors who can help produce more vaccine. Then the people who keep your society running. Water treatment, food production, power generation. That makes logical sense. But telling the others they must wait, knowing they might die before we can vaccinate them." Vixana's voice trailed off. "I know, but we save as many as we can. That is all we can do." Young scholar Lieth had recovered completely from his test infection. He was the first Ashari to be cured of the consumption. Now he worked with the human medical team, helping coordinate the vaccination program. "We have 1,000 children in the priority group," he reported, "all under 10 years old, all currently healthy but at high risk. Start with them," Hana Yoon ordered. "Bring them in groups of 50. We will work through the night. The vaccinations began. One by one, HFY children received the injection. Their parents watched with desperate hope. Some children cried. Most were brave. All of them were frightened. Will it hurt? A young HFY girl asked Hanayun. Just a little pinch. Then you will be safe from the consumption. My big sister died from the consumption. Will this bring her back? Hanayun felt her throat tighten. No, sweetheart. I am sorry, but it will protect you, and that is what your sister would want. The girl nodded seriously. She held out her arm for the injection. On the third day of vaccine production, disaster struck. Lieutenant Rin-Na was in the security office when the alarms went off. She ran to the medical bay and found chaos. 3 human technicians were on the floor, struggling to breathe. 2 HFY doctors were trying to help them. What happened? Rin-Na demanded. The consumption, scientist Hyun Lee said. His face was pale. It mutated. It changed. Now it can infect humans. The news spread through the human fleet like wildfire. Captain Tae-sung called an emergency meeting. Every department head assembled in the conference room. The mood was grim. How bad is it? Tae-sung asked. Bad, Dr. Hanayun replied. She looked exhausted. The consumption studied us. It learned from our immune system, and it adapted. The new strain can bypass human defenses. We are no longer immune. How many infected? 7 humans so far. All showing symptoms. High fever, respiratory distress, organ failure. The same progression we saw in the HFY. Will they die? Tae-sung asked quietly. Yes, unless we can modify the vaccine to work for humans too. But that will take time we do not have. How much time? Days, maybe a week. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The humans were now just as vulnerable as the HFY. The consumption could kill them all. Earth Command is ordering us to evacuate, Communications Officer Young Mi reported. They say we need to leave HFY space immediately. They are afraid we will bring the new strain back to Earth. That would doom the HFY, Elder Vixana said. She had been invited to the meeting. Without the humans, we have no hope. The vaccine production is not complete. We do not have enough yet. Captain Tae-sung stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the HFY homeworld below. Beautiful and dying. Send a message to Earth Command, he said. Tell them we are not leaving. Sir, that is direct disobedience of orders, Young Mi said. I know. Put me on record. Captain Tae-sung, commanding officer of the ESS Horizon, refuses evacuation orders. We came here to save the HFY. We will complete that mission. Sir, Lieutenant Rin-Na said carefully. If we stay, we might all die. The new strain of consumption is spreading. We could lose everyone. Then we die trying to save people. That is better than living with the knowledge that we abandoned them. Tae-sung turned to face his crew. I will not order anyone to stay. If you want to leave, take a shuttle and go. No one will judge you. This is not your fight anymore. No one moved. No one spoke. Then Engineer Jin-woo laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. Captain, did you really think we would leave? We are humans. We are too stupid to quit, too stubborn to run away, too proud to accept defeat. He stood up. I have work to do. That production facility needs to be finished, with or without the consumption trying to kill me. One by one, the others stood up. Every human in the room. Every member of the crew. They would stay. They would fight. Even if it killed them. Elder Vixana was crying openly now. Why would you do this? You owe us nothing. We are strangers. We are not even the same species. Dr. Hanayun put a hand on the old scientist's shoulder. Because you asked for help. Because you needed someone. Because when we heard your distress signal, we could not ignore it. She smiled. That is what humans do. We help, even when it is stupid, even when it is dangerous, especially then. The next 72 hours were a nightmare. More humans got sick. The 3 infected technicians died despite everything Hanayun tried. She worked herself to exhaustion, trying to modify the vaccine, trying to save her people. Engineer Jin-woo worked with a fever. His temperature was 102 degrees, but he refused to stop. The production facility was almost done. Just a few more connections. A few more systems to bring online. Sir, you need to rest, Bo-ra pleaded. Rest when dead, Jin-woo muttered. His hands shook as he worked. Almost done. Almost there. On the bridge, Captain Tae-sung was sick too. He could feel the consumption in his body. The fever. The weakness. The pain in his chest. But he stayed at his post. Someone had to coordinate everything. Someone had to make sure the mission continued. "Captain, we have 7 million vaccine doses ready," young Mi reported. "The facility is working. We are producing 100,000 doses per hour now." "Not enough," Taesung said. His voice was hoarse. "We need 20 million doses. We need to vaccinate every Ashari on 7 worlds." "How long?" Young Mi checked her calculations. 8 days. Maybe 9. Do we have 8 days? No one answered. Lieutenant Rin Na was piloting vaccine shipments down to the planet's surface. The flights were dangerous. She had to navigate through crowded airspace, avoid contaminated zones, and land at overwhelmed medical centers. She flew mission after mission, 18 hours a day. "Lieutenant, you need to take a break," her co-pilot Dae-ho said. After the next run, Rin Na replied, "There are children waiting for this vaccine. They do not get a break. Neither do we." On the 5th day, Engineer Jin-woo collapsed. He was carried to the medical bay, unconscious and burning with fever. "The consumption had him now. Will he live?" Bo-ra asked Dr. Hana-yoon. "I do not know." "I am sorry. We still do not have a vaccine that works for humans." "I am trying, but—" Hana-yoon's voice broke. She was so tired, so hopeless. They were losing. The consumption was winning. But then scientist Hyun Lee burst into the medical bay carrying a data pad. His eyes were bright with excitement. "Dr. Yoon, I think I have it. A modification to the vaccine." "Look at this." Hana-yoon studied the screen. Then she looked up at Hyun Lee. "This might work. This actually might work. Should we test it?" "No time for tests. We either try it or we die." Hana-yoon prepared an injection. "Give it to Jin-woo first. If anyone deserves to be saved, it is him." They injected the new vaccine into Jin-woo's arm. Then they waited, and prayed to whatever gods might listen. After 6 hours, Jin-woo opened his eyes. His fever was gone. The consumption was dying in his blood. "Did we finish the facility?" he asked weakly. "Yes, you mad fool," Hana-yoon said. She was laughing and crying at the same time. "You finished it, and it is working perfectly." 3 weeks after the modified vaccine was created, the tide finally turned. The consumption began to retreat. Infection rates dropped. Death rates fell. For the first time in 8 months, more Ashari were recovering than dying. Dr. Hana-yoon stood in the medical center and watched the monitors. Green lights everywhere. Green meant healthy. Green meant alive. Green meant hope. "We have vaccinated 4 million Ashari on the homeworld," Elder Vixana reported. She looked different now. Less exhausted. Less hopeless. She looked like someone who believed in tomorrow again. The other 6 colony worlds report similar numbers. Total vaccinated across all 7 worlds. 28 million. How many still need the vaccine? Hana-yoon asked. About 2 million. But they are scattered across remote settlements. It will take time to reach them all. We have time now. The consumption is dying. We beat it. Vixana put her hand on Hana-yoon's shoulder. It was a gesture of deep respect among the Ashari. "You beat it, Dr. Yoon, you and your humans. We had given up. We had accepted death, but you refused to let us die. We lost people too," Hana-yoon said quietly. 5 humans died from the consumption before we perfected the vaccine. 5 good people who came here to help strangers. They will be remembered. We will make sure of that. In the cargo bay, Engineer Jin-woo was finally dismantling the emergency production facility. The job was done. The vaccine had been made. Now they could return to normal operations. "I cannot believe we actually built this thing," his assistant Bo-ra said, looking around at the massive equipment. "Believe it. We did the impossible," Jin-woo smiled. "Though I never want to do anything like this again. Next time someone needs saving, they can build their own miracle machines." "You do not mean that." "No, I do not. But let me pretend for a while." Captain Tae-sung had recovered from his infection. He stood on the bridge of the horizon, reading reports from all 7 Ashari worlds. The news was good. Better than good. It was miraculous. Final death toll? He asked Communications Officer Young Mi. 47 million Ashari died before the vaccine was distributed. 8 million survived. Population on the 7 worlds is now stable and growing. No new infections in the past week. 47 million dead. The number was staggering. But 8 million lived. 8 million who would have died without help. 8 million who would have families and futures. "What about our people?" Tae-sung asked. 5 dead from the consumption. 12 still recovering but expected to make full recovery. The rest of the crew is healthy. 5 dead. Tae-sung knew their names, their faces. their families back on Earth. They had volunteered for this mission knowing the risks. They had died saving strangers. Heroes, every one of them. Prepare a memorial service, Taesung ordered. Full honors. We will remember them. On the planet's surface, Lieutenant Rin Na was making her final vaccine delivery run. She landed at a small settlement in the mountains. It was one of the last places to receive the vaccine. A group of young HFY children ran out to meet the shuttle. They were laughing and playing, full of life. A few weeks ago, they had been dying. Now they were healthy, saved. One little girl approached Rin Na shyly. "Are you the human who brought the medicine?" "One of them, yes. Thank you for saving my mommy." She was very sick. Now she is better. Rin Na knelt down to the girl's level. "You are welcome, little one. Tell your mommy to stay healthy." The girl hugged Rin Na suddenly. It surprised the lieutenant. She carefully hugged back. The child's scales were smooth and cool against her hands. So different from human skin. But the hug felt the same. Gratitude, relief, joy. "I will remember you forever," the little girl whispered. Back at the orbital station, preparations were underway for a formal ceremony. The Ashari Council of Elders wanted to honor the humans properly. They prepared speeches and awards and celebrations. Elder Vixana found Captain Taesung in the observation lounge. He was looking down at the planet, lost in thought. "Captain, the ceremony begins in 1 hour. You should prepare." "I do not care about ceremonies, Elder. I did not come here for awards." "I know, but please let us honor you. Let us thank you properly. You gave us back our future. Our children will grow up because of you. Our species will continue because of you." Taesung turned to face her. "Elder Vixana, I need to tell you something. Something you should know." "What is it?" "When we received your distress signal, many people told us not to come. They said it was too dangerous, too risky, that we might bring the plague back to Earth, that we might all die for nothing." Taesung paused. They were almost right. We almost did die. We almost failed. But you did not fail. No, but it was close, closer than I ever want to admit. Taesung looked back at the planet. But even knowing how close we came to disaster, even knowing we lost 5 good people, I would make the same choice again. Because you asked for help. Because you needed someone. That is enough reason. Most species in the galaxy would not agree with you. Then most species in the galaxy are wrong. The ceremony was held in the largest gathering hall on the station. Thousands of Ashari attended, both in person and through video link from the other 6 worlds. The human crew stood together, looking uncomfortable in their dress uniforms. Commander Tolmir spoke first. He told the story of the crisis, of the millions who died, of the despair and hopelessness, of the distress signal sent to the stars. "We did not expect an answer," Tolmir said, "and when the humans replied, we could not believe it. They were so far away. They had no reason to help us. But they came anyway." Young scholar Leith spoke next. He was wearing a formal robe and looked very official. But his words were personal. "I was ready to die. I had accepted that the consumption would kill me. Then the humans arrived and said no. They refused to let us die. They volunteered to test the vaccine on me, risking that it might fail. Dr. Hana Yoon and scientist Hyun Lee worked without sleep to save us. Engineer Jin Woo built an impossible machine and made it work. Captain Taesung and his crew stayed even when the consumption infected them too. They could have left. They should have left, but they stayed." Finally, Elder Vixana stepped forward. She carried a small crystal box. Inside were 5 glowing objects, each one pulsing with soft light. In our culture, we have a tradition. When someone gives their life to save others, we create a memory light. It burns forever, powered by quantum energy. These 5 lights represent the 5 humans who died fighting the consumption. Vixana opened the box. Their names will be carved on monuments on all 7 worlds. Their sacrifice will be taught to every Ashari child. They will be remembered as long as our species exists. Dr. Hana Yoon stepped forward to accept the lights. Her hands were shaking. They did not die as warriors. They died as healers, as helpers. That is what they would want to be remembered as. They will be remembered as saviors, Vixana said firmly, because that is what they were. The ceremony continued with awards and speeches, but the most powerful moment came at the end. Every Ashari in the hall stood up. Then slowly they began to hum, a low resonant sound that built and built until it filled the entire station. It was the Ashari song of gratitude, a sound reserved for the greatest honors. The humans stood there, surrounded by the sound, and finally understood what they had achieved. They had not just saved lives. They had saved an entire civilization, a species, a culture that was thousands of years old. 1 week later, the human fleet prepared to depart. The Ashari had offered them advanced technology, faster engines, better weapons, medical devices that Earth had never seen before. Captain Tae-sung accepted some of it, but not all. "We came here to help, not to profit," he told Elder Vixana. "You earned this technology with blood and courage. Please take it. We will take the medical technology. That will help us save others in the future. But we do not need weapons or engines. We have what we came with. That is enough." Before leaving, Tae-sung and his senior staff visited the memorial that had been erected at the station. 5 stone pillars, each carved with a name, each topped with a memory light that would burn forever. Lieutenant Rin Na placed flowers at the base of each pillar. They were earth flowers, carefully grown in the ship's hydroponics bay. "Rest well, friends. You did good." Engineer Jin Woo stood quietly for a long moment. "I wish you could see what we accomplished. You would be proud." Dr. Hanayun read the inscription on the largest pillar. It was written in both human and Ashari languages. "Here stand the names of the brave. They came from Earth to save Ashari. They gave everything. We will never forget." As the human fleet moved toward the edge of Ashari space, thousands of Ashari ships formed an honor corridor. They floated in perfect formation, their lights glowing in salute. "Captain," Communications Officer Young Mi said, "we are receiving a transmission. Audio only, from all 7 worlds simultaneously. Play it." The sound that filled the bridge was the same resonant hum from the ceremony, but this time it was not just thousands of voices. It was millions. Every Ashari on every world was humming the song of gratitude. The sound traveled across space, a farewell and a thank you. Captain Tae-sung stood at attention. His entire crew did the same. They stayed that way until the sound faded, and the human fleet crossed into open space. "Set course for Earth," Tae-sung ordered. "Let us go home." 10 years later, a new crisis emerged.